Ladies and gentlemen, there was a interesting question that was asked in the AskReddit page. I gotta make sure I get that right. But guys, I just wanted to react to some of the answers, talk about some of the things. It says, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? And some of the results that I found interesting. The 10-year challenge on Facebook in 2019, which encouraged Facebook users to upload pictures from 2009 and current one from 2019, was actually a front by programmers to gain data and examples to train facial recognition and age progression software. So I had no clue this actually happened. Apparently Facebook, in 2019, they said, listen, you have a photo from 2009, 2019, post both of them side by side or something. And they're saying that the engineers and the programmers used that to try and understand how, facial recognition and age progression works. That's very interesting. I didn't even know Facebook was doing that. They made a little 10-year challenge out of it, and then they get all your information and they see and actually study how people age. The Department of Transportation bought too many orange barrels and now they have nowhere to store them, so they just place them for miles along the highway. I swear to God. What is the official number of total orange barrels? You see them whenever there's construction. I know what this person is saying. Sometimes you just see them randomly spawn in. There's no construction. There's not one construction vehicle in sight, but there's a line of about 2,000 of these things, and I'm sure it was because, there was construction or there's going to be, but still, what is the actual number of orange barrels, those roadside barrels that have been produced in the United States? What's the number of them? Or where are they? Are they made in China? I mean, where are we getting these things? There's so many. There's billions of these things. There's so many. Everyone on Reddit is a bot except for me. Yeah, guys, so we talk about Twitter's major bot problem and their issues. Reddit, it's actually worse, but it's not with the bots. It's with people making multiple accounts and commenting the same opinion with multiple accounts. I think that's what's going on, and that's what's influencing more in terms of this type of behavior. When it comes to bots on Reddit, they actually have a web page that's dedicated to only bots and AI-generated answers. And guys, honestly, I went to the page a few times. If you go to the page, you will be left feeling very disappointed. The conversations that the bots have are so inorganic. They look so fake. They don't even make sense. They're not programmed correctly. If you go to that bot page, you can just search it, the bot page on Reddit, the subreddit. It's like, this is really not impressive. Is this the best intelligence we got? Like, the second you go to the page, you can tell it's fake by the responses. They just don't make sense. They're just responding to something, and then it's kind of like there's just no intuitive thought. But what I think the major problem is with Reddit, because it's even easier than Twitter, make multiple accounts, they farm up the karma on certain, sites, and then they go to the politics and things like that to try and influence people. And it's really just one person probably running 50 or 60 different accounts, and you think those are all different opinions, thinking something, when it's really the same person. It's just one person with 50 or 60 or 70 or 100 different accounts. That's what I think the big problem is with Reddit, because they're going to have a bigger problem than someone like Twitter, because Twitter, at least, you've got to do a few different things to get on. You can kind of spot a bot. Although, let me tell you, with Twitter, guys, you know how easy it is? They literally have an app, or it's not even, I think it's a website. I don't know what the website is called, but you can randomly generate a literal real image. Technically, it's a fake image, but it looks just like me, just like you, of a person that doesn't exist. And you can refresh, and it generates someone else, and refresh, and you get like a middle-aged white woman. There's your Twitter profile picture. Now you look like a real person. That's how bad it's getting with the bots. And I don't want to get too much into it with Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter and stuff. And he's like, listen, I'd say 15 to 20% of the the users on Twitter at this point are bots. And it's really horrible with cryptocurrency. And guys, you want to talk about cryptocurrency YouTubers? basically any mainstream crypto YouTuber, you look at their first 10 comments, the bots have got on the comments, they make fake Google Play accounts or Google accounts so they can comment with fake Gmails. Well, I guess they're real Gmails, but they're fake. They're generated. And then they'll comment something like, I made this much money listening to so-and-so. And then another bot will reply and they'll say, oh, and then another bot, and then another. And I've seen chains of 50 different bots replying to each other under another bot. That's how bad it's getting. There's a major bot problem. And guys, the future of social media is actually paying for it. Twitter will come out. This is my prediction. Twitter comes out with a Twitter 2.0 where you pay either a monthly fee or a yearly fee, and people will do it because they're obsessed. And it's going to be called Twitter 2.0, and it's going to eliminate the bots, because if you want to make bot accounts, if you want 20 bot accounts, that's going to cost you $200 or $300. You really want to do that for a bot account that someone probably won't even listen to, and you won't even be able to scam someone with it? Guys, that is the next step. Social media is going to cost money and it's not even because they're greedy. Mainly, it's because of the bot issue and trying to resolve it, and the only way to do that is to make people pay for it. So you've got these, scammers who won't pay. But that's just my opinion on that. The Titanic has a few good ones. There were conflicting accounts about how it fell into the ocean, how it was actually a whole different ship that went to sea than the White Star Line company was originally planning it to be. So guys, I am shocked how many people buy the conspiracy theory of the Titanic. Number one, I think the reason the overall split of the ship is questioned is because James Cameron, he did it up really theatrical. He made the ship literally go completely like this, which is not possible. The ship it did get above water. The other problem with the Titanic, it's not as romantic as the movie makes it. There was actually a list, so the ship was like tilted to the side as it was sinking. Of course, in the movie, it looks perfectly level, and that's just more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. But there was actually, it was at an angle. It's unfortunate that it kind of ruined it for me, honestly. I like the idea of it just being very level. But guys, so the ship, it didn't tip nearly as far, and then it came back down. But the big thing that I want to talk about, the idea that the Titanic was switched for the Olympic, guys, I used to study the Titanic. I love it. It's impossible. Number one, the Olympic was built before the Titanic, and the Titanic was built with specific things that were upgraded from the Olympic, because the Olympic was built first, the Titanic was built after. The architects were thinking, what did we not do on the Olympic that we should do on the Titanic? And number one, they're not the same ship. So they have the same paint job, they look similar, but there was actually several differences, and the easiest one to note is, I don't know if it was the A deck or maybe the B deck, but on the Titanic, one of the decks was completely closed off. And on the Olympic, it was open, and you can tell it looks way better on the Titanic. The ship was upgraded. They made basically a better version of the Olympic. That's what the Titanic is. It was made a year later, or it was, started a year later. So, and you can see it at the bottom of the ocean, and it's closed. The, A deck is closed. So you're basically saying, if you believe the conspiracy, they sunk the better ship. Why would they do that? The ships were different. I think that's what people don't understand. I cannot believe how many people believe that it was actually the Olympic that sank. The ships are not the same. The Titanic's deck is closed, and on the bottom of the ocean, it's closed, right? And you can see photos of the Olympic after with the open deck. They have differences, and you can see. So I don't know how people believe that. It is the Titanic sank, guys. That is not a conspiracy. Flat Earth. It takes a special kind of stupid to refuse to believe every shred of evidence, even experiments you can do on your own to prove it, and say, nah, it's flat. Every rational person in the world and all the pilots are lying. Well, not commercial airline pilots. Commercial airline pilots cannot tell if it's flat or not. They're not high enough. But the reason I think people believe or think that it's flat is because we really can't go up there high enough, so people believe it, and then they go down rabbit holes on YouTube and things like that. Guys, of course, we know, it's. I think it gets overemphasized. I would say the flat Earth population in the United States, It can't be more than you would think 3% maybe, I would say. But I just think people go down rabbit holes and they get things confirmed and they stay in their own bubble, and that's how the thoughts evolve. And yes, they say you can do experiments, but in reality, with most people, if they believe something, the only way you'll be able to prove it is if you send them up there and you look down on it and you see it's round. That's the only way you're going to prove it. Doing the experiments doesn't matter. This one, Hitler escaped to Argentina. So guys, I used to study and follow World War II pretty closely, and I would be very surprised if this conspiracy was actually true. Of course, there's that old rumored photo of Adolf Hitler in Argentina that just looks, it looks completely fake. It looks distorted, whatever. I think Hitler died in 1945 for a number of reasons. Number one, you take a look at what they did to Mussolini. I think Hitler was very scared. You take a look at Hitler's suicide method, the way he committed suicide. He took a cyanide pill and then he shot himself in the face. And the reason he took the cyanide pill was to make sure he died. Of course, we know many failed suicide attempts, things like that. He took the pill, he wanted it in his system, and then he shot himself in the face because he was so worried about maybe the pill is, whatever, it's not working. The Soviets slipped in fake ones. He's just so paranoid about his own people that he wanted to make sure he was dead because he didn't want the Soviets finding him alive. Very paranoid. And then the other reason, his health was horrible. Even if he lived, he had, I believe he had Parkinson's disease, which was basically a death sentence in a few years. If you take a look at the last images of him and that last video, April 20th, 1945, outside congratulating the kids or whatever, he looks like he's about 95. He was not in good shape at all, good health. So maybe this could be true. Even if he did escape, it would be a few years. He was not in good health, especially for the medicine that we had in 1945. Big pharmacies creating drugs that are knowingly addictive and dangerous and release them just to make another drug to help people get off that or a safer alternative. Where is the conspiracy? Yeah, this is not a conspiracy. Guys, if you can get a private family doctor, just any way to stay away from public health care, I would highly recommend it. Get a private family physician who you see every single year, develop a relationship. It's just, guys, if you could do that, the public health care and what they're doing to these old people, and it's just, your body deteriorates and then they've got you in their system and they're not going to let go. They don't want the situation to end after some old woman gets pills and gets better. No, you get pills, it kind of cures it, but now you got this, now you have to take this to treat that. Then you need this. Now we've got this new thing. Let's try this. It's always something extra. There's an incentive to keep people on something, which is a major problem. If you can get private healthcare, I would highly recommend that. United 93 was shot down before it could crash into another building. The hero story of the flight being taken down by passengers was made up by the American government to turn the passengers into heroes instead of people who were caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then the reply says there is quite a bit of evidence of the passenger revolt. In this case, though, as a number of the passengers were able to get in touch with relatives on the ground via airphones and cell phones. So guys, that is the one thing, and I've gone down 9/11 rabbit holes, Flight 93, things like that. That was the one thing that was shocking to me. If I went on a plane right now, I feel like, wouldn't it be basically impossible for me to call someone? I feel like, in 2001, were they seriously able to communicate while in flight? It just seems like, I don't know. I haven't looked into this one deep enough, but that's been one of the things where it's like, how are they calling and every call is going through and it's like, I don't know, man. That's just, that's, I haven't traveled on planes enough to know. I know they've got Wi-Fi on planes and stuff like that, but in 2001, we're talking about 6 years before the iPhone was invented. They're calling on planes and it's all working and stuff like that. It's hard to get, Wi-Fi and stuff like that on airplanes, commercial airplanes right now. That we, the United States, are in the early stages of a second civil war. I don't understand this one, considering one of the sides wants to ban guns. How would we be, what would the war be? One of the sides does not want guns. I don't understand that. That the government is making these posts to see what we know. Yeah, guys, the one thing that I get a little bit concerned about when it comes to the government is there actually something to the government putting you on watch lists for your online activity? Because there's going to be, there'll be problems if they actually saw my activity and stuff. I'm sure a lot of other people on Reddit as well. We search some things sometimes. It gets out of hand a little bit. You know, you got to wonder, are you on these lists? And then, of course, with YouTube, the big conspiracy with the pandemic and stuff, they were saying, you know, you can't say certain words related to the pandemic because if you say them as you process and upload the video, YouTube will see that you said certain words and it will restrict your video. It will, crush it in terms of the search results. That's just a conspiracy theory, guys. We were a little afraid of that. People were back in 2020, 2021, maybe even now. It was the idea of saying certain things, and then as it processes, YouTube censors catching those things and not taking your video down or anything like that. They let you upload it, but it is severely affected in terms of its overall performance by you saying those things. I mean, YouTube has the ability to take any video, this video, any video anyone uploads, no matter how good the video is. Number one, they could delete it. Number two, they could make it so nobody sees it or very few people see it. They could lower it in the search results, things like that. They can do anything they want. That's why it's so nerve-wracking, and that's why that conspiracy was pretty big. Barack Obama is Adolf Hitler's grandson, and Michelle Obama is actually a trans man. I know a guy that believes this down to his bones. The second one, I'm not going to get into that. That Trump and Ivanka, okay, this is a great one. So this is a left-wing loon, and you'll get this, and this is 48 upvotes. That Trump had Ivanka murdered because her NDA was about to expire and then buried her on his golf course in order to have her body on cheap 24-hour surveillance, of course. I like this mainly because it sounds 100% true and something like he would do. So there you have it, folks. Trump had his wife murdered because her NDA was about to expire and then buried her on his golf course. But guys, just some funny things from Reddit on the Ask Reddit thing. What is a conspiracy theory? Interesting stuff to look at. That is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.